Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. We're doing Sheik Yerbouti from 1978. This was Frank Zappa's next album, although albums were being released by Warner's at the time. This was his actual next album, so all the material was current. However, some of the material is also on leather, albeit re-recorded. So it's not a leather album, but it has some of leather, so there's a little bit of it just there, like that. It basically features what is essentially the current band. It was the current band on Zappa New York, although it is a different configuration, but it is essentially the current band. So you've still got Terry Bozzio, you've still got Patrick O'Hearn on bass, but we have the introduction of Ed Mann on percussion, we have the introduction of Peter Wolf on keyboards, we have the introduction of Bobby Martin, and great vocalist as well as keyboard player, who continued through many different configurations of the band. And we also have the brief, sadly, introduction of one Adrian Belew, soon to be poached by Bowie, soon to be poached by Roxy Music, and most importantly, soon to form a new King Crimson, became a very, very important part of King Crimson as well. Here, his vocal and guitar talents are used more than his guitar talents. He was listed as stunt guitarist, and he did some stuff, but obviously Zappa did the lead guitar on this, so there's not much room to do really in that sense. But he's a great vocalist. It is a commercial album, so in that sense probably compares unfavourably to all the Warner albums that were coming out at the time, in that they were a bit more sophisticated. There is, however, plenty of sophistication on here. It's a double album. Zoot Laws was almost a double album as well, which was abandoned possibly because Warner's wouldn't let him or something. And it is in a way the third in a trilogy. I mean, I see Overnight Sensation, Zoot Laws and Sheik Yerbouti as being a trilogy of his commercial attempts. This is the successful one, both artistically and commercially. I think it was his biggest selling album, still is. It had a #1 single in Norway, as you may or may not know, we'll get to that. It was also a big hit in Germany, and generally a big hit in countries that didn't speak English, for very good reasons. It has controversial lyrics. Some of these lyrics are definitely not to be played with children in the room, not suitable for work. By this time, his humour had got a real dark edge to it, so the fun satire of the late 60s, and certainly the early 70s, had become kind of harsher. And I think it was George Duke that said he saw him change from being sort of funny and satirical to very, very serious satirical, possibly due to his bad experiences with record companies, etc. Made him very, very, very cynical. Is that a bad thing? Probably not, because it makes good music. He was probably right about all the things he said. Obviously, the lyrics are controversial. One track is very, very controversial. I'm going to abstain from commenting because I'm not qualified to comment on that one. As a liberal, I'm a liberal. I don't necessarily share his views necessarily, but at the same time I have libertarian leanings as well, in that I think he should be able to say what the hell he likes, and he does treat everyone equally, and that he will satirise what he sees. If that is the only song I can't defend, that dodgy song. But I have no comment. That's the best way to put it. Okay, so the first song, 18 tracks. First song is called I Have Been In You, which is a ridiculous parody of a Peter Frampton song called I'm In You. It doesn't really work without the preamble explaining what it's about, that it's a parody of this song really, so it's kind of strange. Watch the Baby Snakes video to see the full version of that. I do remember putting this on for the very first time. This was one of the very first Zappa albums I heard, and thinking, what the hell is this? And it felt like nothing like the rest of the album. It's almost not worth... I tend to skip it, to be honest. It's funny. The rest of the album, it's interesting how things have changed, and there's like a punk parody to it. There was elements of that on Zoot Laws as well, but it works so much better. Sheik Yerbouti, this is such a better album than Zoot Laws, much better. Flakes, the next song, features Adrian Belew with his brilliant Dylan impression, very funny. Later on in the song as well, it features some of my favourite lyrics. I'm a moron and here is my wife. Really lovely take on doo-wop styles, well recorded, and that really drew me in first time I heard it. I think it is a good starter place for Zappa. Broken Hearts Are for Assholes. We've got some punky riffing. You've got Terry Bozzio with his sort of shouty kids vocals, which are quite funny, and some unrepeatable lyrics towards the end, which are hilarious, but not suitable for work. Definitely not. Don't do what I did and just put it on when you bought it, not knowing what it's going to be when you're visiting your in-laws. I'm So Cute, another punk parody, probably less interesting, but there it is. Jones Crusher. I always thought this was kind of a Queen parody. Obviously, Adrian Belew's vocals, he's a great vocalist. He's not Freddie Mercury, obviously, but it's entertaining, and stylistically, I think there's something there with that, and it's good. It's actually a really good Queen-like piece. It's quite short. Whatever happened to all the fun in the world? We have the reintroduction of the Music Concrete stuff. There's a little bit of the famous irritating laugh on Lumpy Gravy, but mercifully just a short thing, just to remind you of what we're going back to. I think that stuff's an important addition to the album, because it means we're not just dealing in simple Zappa songs, we're dealing in some funky stuff as well, so it really draws you into the Zappa world very well. Rat Tomago is a guitar solo, and very good it is too. Wait a Minute is a little bit of what sounds like studio chatter. It sounds like listening to a playback, and then some more Music Concrete, which is great. Bringing Us To, Bobby Brown Goes Down, famous song. This was #1 in Norway. Once again, you wouldn't play it in public. Well, I think one of his funniest songs, and it's amazing how catchy it is. You find yourself humming it. The lyrics are memorable because the melody is memorable. It's It's actually a brilliant pop song in that sense. If you call that a pop song, I won't relay the story. Rubber Shirt is interesting. It sounds like a jazzy bass and drums jam, but he actually used a separate bass part to the drum parts. What it sounds like a bass and drums interacting with each other aren't actually listening to each other and were recorded at separate times throughout the decade. That's an interesting idea, and it's strange how well it works. I mean, he's really demonstrating there the sort of craft of music making in the studio rather than the deeply felt soul of musicians being expressed on stage. The Sheik Yerbouti Tango. It is a tango rhythm, very noisy guitar that sounds like it should be a bit more withdrawn. Works well because of that though, I think it makes it interesting. Then we've got Baby Snakes. It's only 1 minute 50, quite an iconic piece, I think, not just because it's the title of a video, but just very catchy. Great song to hook people in because people remember it. Trying to Go Chin. This one's on leather, but is re-recorded here. Obviously needed to be done with Terry Bozzio because of his childlike voice. And it's kind of a punk parody thing, I think, but it's very funny, enjoyable, good stuff. However, City of Tiny Lights, a wonderful, fast-paced, fusiony track with vocals. Great vocals by Adrian Belew. It's not a parody of anything, it's just a great song. I would use that to introduce people to Zappa. It would probably be in my top 10 favourites as well. Just a great song. Then we got Dancin Fool, parody of disco. I might be totally wrong, but I'm a much better parody than Disco Boy, which I found kind of unlistenable. Dancin Fool's real fun, and you find yourself bopping along to it. You know, track 16 is Jewish Princess, the controversial track. Like I said, I'm not qualified to defend it, but at the same time, if he's going to do, you can't do Catholic Girls and then not do Jewish Princess. It doesn't work. So, but there you go. I'm not defending it though, just to be clear. Wild Love is a return to the more complex 74 band style, I think. Perhaps not as memorable as that stuff, but I've always liked it because it was the first track I heard of that style, really. And then we close the album with the 12-minute Yo Mama, a song written originally about Bobby Martin, who apparently he was supposed to have learnt a track and he hadn't learnt it and sort of went off with his tail between his legs, and Zappa wrote this song called Maybe You Should Stay With Your Mama. And in a way, that's an excuse to put end to end of what is a guitar solo, actually, although it's not a band guitar solo. The guitar solo is planted on some band playing created afterwards, actually. And again, it's amazing how well it works. Big crescendo of guitar. One of Zappa's best guitar solos, actually. Ending a great but long album. Great introduction. I'd recommend it. See you next week.